poder platicar con mis alumnas para darles la explicación por la cual yo no, porque por la cual yo he sido despedida. Y la persona también que fue y me entregó la carta también no me dio el motivo por la cual yo fui despedida, nomás me dijo que si tenía yo preguntas, que fuera al distrito a hablar allí, que alguien me iba a decir la razón, pero esa es la razón por la cual yo estoy aquí en estos momentos. Y pues al igual para, pues para dar mi palabra de que pues esto no es correcto y yo quisiera, yo la verdad quisiera que no le sucediera a otra persona en el futuro porque no se me hace justo la manera en que lo hicieron. Me lo hubieran dicho con tiempo para así yo haber planeado, ¿verdad? Todo esto. Gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Samantha Gomez. I was a teacher, Spanish ESL teacher at Frank Paul. I'm here today because on last Friday I was fired from my job. I'm not here to fight to come back, but I think it's unjust the way that it was done. A person from Human Resources came, gave me a letter, and it was 8th of March, and it was just half an hour before my day was over. Um, and I, I don't think it's fair that it was done that way. I think 2 weeks would have been better. That way, I could have explained to my students. The person who gave me the letter told me did not give me a reason, and they told me that if you had questions, I had to call Human Resources. So I'm here because I just feel this is not correct, and I don't think it's just. And I think that I should have been told with more time.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Gabriela Guido.
Buenas tardes. Yo nada más venía a dar aquí que yo he estado con la maestra Gómez y la verdad se me hizo algo que no estuvo bien por la razón que fue de un día para otro. Al otro día que nosotros nos presentamos a clases, nomás nos dijeron que iba a ser nueva maestra, nuevos horarios y el que quisiera apuntarse tenía que ser otra vez porque no, iba a ser otra vez a comenzar a nueva clase. Y la verdad, nosotros estamos aquí apoyando a la maestra porque se nos hace injusto. Y la verdad, yo había asistido a otras clases, pero la verdad no se sentía el apoyo con la maestra. Se sentía más apoyo con la maestra, más seguridad de nosotros. Ella nos animaba. Ustedes pueden, aunque no se sean algo la de esta pronunciación correcta, pero ustedes dicen entender. Ella nos echábamos, apoyaba y nos daba muchos ánimos.
I'm here again to support Maestra Gomez. It's not right that one day to the next that we were going to have a new teacher. We were told the next day that we were going to have a new teacher with new schedules, and that if we wanted to participate, we would have to enroll again. So we're here to support this teacher also because I feel this is unjust. Also, I had not gone to classes before, but this class, we felt the support from the teacher. She was always encouraging us, you can do this. She was very supportive, and it's just not fair that she's gone.
Sigue la señora Itzayanu Mora. ¿Se lo dije correcto?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Ixayana Mora y al igual que mi compañera Gabriela, estoy aquí apoyando a nuestra maestra Samantha porque no se nos hace ah, justo ni correcto la manera en la que fue despedida. No solo la están, sorry, no solo la están afectando a ella, sino a nosotros como sus estudiantes también. Siento que estábamos llevando un buen ritmo, un buen nivel Y volver a empezar no solo es algo fácil tanto para nosotros como para ella también, tener que buscar otro trabajo, tener que empezar de cero. Entonces, estamos aquí para apoyarla y ver qué podemos hacer por ella y por nosotros también.
Good afternoon. My name is Itzayana Mora. I, like my classmates, I'm here to support Miss Samantha. I don't think that the way you did it was correct. You have just not affected her, but you've affected all of us. We had already been working with really good rhythm, and now we're gonna have to start from zero. So we're here to support her and see what we can do.
Our final person, nuestra última persona, la señora Gladys Montes.
Montejo. Sorry. Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Gladys Montejo. Al igual que mis compañeras, estoy aquí con apoyo a la señora Samantha Gómez, que fue nuestra maestra, una excelente maestra, un gran ser humano también. Nos demostró lo que es tener el valor y perder el miedo ante aprender un segundo idioma para nosotros. Nosotros como residentes y estudiantes adultos estamos confundidos porque no entendemos el por qué a nuestra maestra la pudieron despedir de esa manera. En la misma semana nuestra maestra fue reconocida como maestra del mes. Vimos todo en la plataforma de la página de Alisa. Decían palabras muy bonitas de ella, el ser humano que es y sus conocimientos que ella estaba demostrando con nosotros en el aprendizaje. Y en esa misma semana le dieron la estocada final de darle la despedida y se nos hace algo muy injusto, algo muy antiprofesional. Tengo entendido que este es un país de leyes y de reglas, pero veo que aquí quebrantaron las reglas. Para despedir a una persona creo que se debe de notificar 15 días antes para poder preparar mentalmente y también nosotros como sus estudiantes poder estar preparados para esa despedida. Esa es nuestra inquietud que nosotras tenemos y venimos aquí con ella a apoyarla. Y pues esperemos que esto no vuelva a suceder con otros maestros o maestras en el futuro de nuestro distrito Alizal. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Gladys Montejo. The same that my classmates, I am here to support Ms. Gomez. She's an excellent teacher, a great human. She taught us to lose fear to acquire a second language. As residents, we do not understand why our teacher has been, was left this way. Even in just after she was named the teacher of the week, we saw in the ALASAL platform that she was very well spoken about, that she's about the beautiful human being that she is. And that same week, she was told that she was fired, and that is very unjust. She was given the final coup de grace, and that's very unjust. It is just very unjust this happens. We want to make sure that this never happens again in the future of our ALASAL district. Thank you.
And now in public comment of 554. Moving on to association comments, the Alice House Teachers Association. Thank you. Next, we have the California School Employees Association, Chapter 577.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Mercado, Superintendent, Mr. Koenig, Board of Trustees, and Cabinet members. Tonight, we have some classified staff here, and I would like to mention first that another classified staff member passed away last month, Maria Guadalupe Garnica. Lupita, she worked for Alisal School District for about 20 years. Lupita was a dedicated family service specialist, a mother, wife, friend, and very valuable member of our family resource centers. As we know, social emotional self-care is such an important part of what we try to teach our students every day. We as a district are told that social emotional care is very important. However, we have taken notes that the district does not always practice what they preach. As we know, 3 of our classified staff members recently passed away, but there was no check-in or support offered to their coworkers. How can we expect staff to continue to offer support to our students and community members when we are not caring for our own staff? We as a district should put a plan in place as to how we can better move forward in supporting staff members when they suffer the loss of a longtime coworker. On the agenda tonight, the board will sunshine CSEA proposal to start negotiations. We have 2 articles, Article 5, paying allowance, and Article 6, health and welfare benefits. Many of the classified staff is underpaid. With the money that the district has received to mitigate the learning loss, the district is implementing many after-school programs activities. That cause more work for the classified staff, especially office staff, custodians, and many other classifications. Paraeducators are instructed to act as a behavior technicians in class where the student was not identified as that they need a behavior technician. And that is not part of the paraeducator job description. I have mentioned many times that we have ALMA, Alisal Labor Management Accord, but we don't utilize it to discuss the district plans for the future. I understand that ALMA is not the time to negotiate, but I truly believe that the district should let us know about their plans that will affect classified staff and might also affect the certificate staff. The district is reorganizing departments and looking for changes in job classifications. We miss a lot of opportunities working collaboratively, and that can cause classified staff to feel underappreciated. I hope moving forward, we can have better communication and the classified staff can be treated with more respect and consideration. CSEA in Chapter 577 would like to start negotiations and have a fair and right to an increase in the salary. Or percentage is not the same as certificate, management, or cabinet members. And on the other hand, the teachers from the Family Resource Center that was let go, I just was notified that the center will offer class from the adult school, and I hope the district fill that position that was open because the layoff, and not supplement that job with the outside provider. Thank you.
Next, we have the United Substitute Teachers Union. Moving on to presentations, we have a Business Service Department presentation, Mrs. Elaine Mendoza. No, that's number 4. Mhm.
Good evening. My name is Elaine Mendoza, Director of Fiscal Services, and we will be presenting the second interim budget report and provide a budget update for the upcoming fiscal year, 2024-25. According to EdCode, the districts have to submit 2 reports to the governing board each year. We have the first interim report, which covers the ending period of October 31st, and the second interim report, which covers the period ending January 31st. Each report shall be approved by the district governing board no later than 45 days after the close of the period being reported. For budget reports, some assumptions are taken into account. Enrollment will decline about 3% per year. Enrollment per ADA is at 95.40%. The funded ADA is based on an average of the previous 3 years, and the unduplicated pupil count of eligible students is at 95.40%. For planning factors in comparison, we look at enrollment, funded ADA, unduplicated pupil count, and COLA. There are no changes for enrollment and funded ADA from first interim report. A few highlights of the second interim report is it includes revenues and expenses, changes from the first interim budget. Class sizes have stayed the same as previous years. The certificated and classified salaries are adjusted for step and column changes, and salaries do not include any negotiated settlements for 23-24 fiscal year. For budgeted reserve, we are maintaining the 3% required by the state and the 7% designated by the board. Any fund balance that's over the 10% is committed for specific uses through our approved resolution. Some contributions the district makes from unrestricted funds is 11.3 million to SPED, special education, 5 million to routine restricted maintenance, and 1.7 million to transportation. This slide shows the balances for general fund. On the last column, we can see the increases and decreases from first interim to second interim. The second interim, the ending fund balance is 52.7 million. For commitments and restricted balance, we have 29.6 million, and reserves is at 23 million, maintaining at 10%. The general fund is made up of unrestricted and restricted funds. So this slide shows the breakdown of the 2 funds. In the budget report, we make multi-year projections. Some assumptions we make are class size is maintained at current level. Reserve is maintained at 10%. The fund balance that is above 10% is committed. Step and column adjustments for eligible employees, and salaries are not settled for the current or subsequent years. For multi-year projections, we look at the current year numbers and make projections for 2 subsequent years. Currently, the projections show for fiscal year 25-26 an ending fund balance of 27.5 million, and we are still able to maintain the 10% reserve. We have several other funds. However, we'll focus on the Fund 21 and Fund 35 since they are our 2 larger balances, and they pay for the construction projects in the district. For next moves, we have negotiations with our bargaining partners and our second interim report, which we're presenting tonight. And then for 2024-25, we have the governor's budget proposal, which staff had attended on January 17th. And next up, we have the May revision, which will be held on May 17th. Lastly, we have the budget and LCAP, which public hearing and adoption will be in June. And next, we have Mr. Arbasi, who will be providing a budget update.
All right. So when we revise our budget for current year, at the same time, we start planning and calculating next year's budget. This is one of the features that we must have. For that purpose, we receive information from two sources, inside and outside sources. Outside is basically California Department of Education and the governor's office that presents budget in the month of January. Our calculations are based on the proposal that we receive from the governor. Some major information that we receive from governor's proposal, one of them is Prop 98, because that's a lifeline and that's a blood for education funding. That sets stage for our next year's budget. For 2024, 2025, we are projecting, or the proposal is $109.1 billion funding. That's about $3.5 billion more than current year. It's not a major increase, but that's just enough to fund our COLA, cost of living adjustment, and that becomes a basis of LCFF calculation. For school districts, when we see our LCFF calculation, which is our largest chunk of money for our operating expenses, COLA becomes the biggest factor. As compared to current year, which is 2023-24, we received 8.22% COLA. Next year is a bigger decline. We are projecting only 0.76% COLA. That's extremely small adjustment to our revenues. That's not even enough to make our step and column adjustment or adjust for inflation, because everything is increased in cost, but we are not going to get enough money from state of California. When we translate the governor's proposal to LECL, the takeaway from this slide is we are going to lose $2.4 million as compared to our calculations only a few months ago. 2 months ago, when we came here in January and we presented first interim report, we were projecting 3.94% COLA for next year. At this point, it's 0.76% cost of living adjustment. This decline, 2.4 million, in addition to decline in our enrollment, is going to hit not only LECL, but every school district in California. That's a major decline. So the major points from governor's proposal that we received in January. The good news is our COLA is fully funded, but the bad news is it's only 0.76% COLA. It's a much deeper decline in cost of living adjustment. So we are going to live in COLA-only environment. What this means is we're not going to get any additional money for one time that we have seen in the past, no more additional one-time monies. We're not going to get any relief in STRS and PERS expenses, no money or no additional money for transportation, no additional money for special education, no additional money for deferred maintenance accounts, and there's going to be a major reduction in supplemental and concentration, because when COLA goes down and our enrollment goes down, so does supplemental concentration money. In other words, we are going to stay in a very tight budget environment. We are going to monitor our expenses very carefully and manage our finances very prudently. The good thing is we are still able to maintain a positive outlook for current year and the next 2 years. With that information and with our projections, we're asking Board of Education to approve our second interim report because we are still positive. Now we are ready to answer your questions.
I'll start from my left. Mrs. Gilbert, do you have any questions or comments? Sure. Mr. Ocampo, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I guess my only, I don't know, question, comment, I don't know what it is, would be, I mean, it doesn't sound very good, obviously, but I'm thinking, are we beginning to like plan for the future decrease? Apparently, it sounds like a future decrease in, you were saying in COLA, and in money's coming in, enrollment going down. is the district looking at some sort of plan for the future, different possible scenarios? Are we currently in that mode of thinking right now?
Yes, we are. We have been looking at different scenarios. A budget is made up of many, many, many elements and many small details. So we are going to look at all small details and big things at the same time. There are major areas of budget expenses or budget concentrations. For example, staffing is one of the biggest expense because we are driven by labor force. And that's the only major expense we have. We analyze all the expenses. We look, when enrollment goes down, we try to align our expenses with that decline in enrollment. Because enrollment decline means our revenue is going to go down. So we are trying to align our expenses in the same area that we can manage carefully. When we make our multi-year projections, which is current year and the next 2 years, we analyze our staffing and all other expenses that we have in the district. In the cabinet, we have been looking at those things in the last 3, 4, 5 months, and we are going to continue with the same routine. It's a process. It does not happen overnight. It does not happen in haste. We have to go through the process, analyze, and make that process a team-driven process. In this, we are all together, Board of Education, administration, and staffing at all levels.
Thank you.
Mrs. Garcia?
Thank you for that presentation. So can you just explain a little bit more about the reserves? Just because I think for the most part, a lot of the times we see that 10% and we see it in the millions and we think we can really use it. But I mean, I've been to the Masters of Governments training over the weekend, and I've got to meet other board members from other schools, and the smaller the school district, the higher the reserve. I always thought that 10% sounded like a lot, because coming from at one point being a principal and having, you know, reserves in my budget, I always kept some. But when I saw Alisal had 10, and I always thought it was a lot, but then I met other people from other districts that were coming from smaller schools, and they had 17% in their, but they had a bigger amount of money sitting in their reserves. Can you just explain a little bit more about reserves and why those are important? And yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So in the area of reserve, during COVID days, starting from 2020-21, all the districts, small, big, and large, they were able to have larger reserves. And the reason is because we received some COVID funds. As a result, we were able to shift expenses from general fund, unrestricted general fund, to those special funds that we received. So we had a much, much bigger reserves. But now, when we move into COLA-only environment, we end up using our reserves. The reason is we have deficit spending going on. In other words, our expenses are more than our revenues. As a result, we have to rely on our reserves to make our payments. The importance and significance of reserves: if we don't have any money for rainy days or for any unforeseen expenses, we just cannot rely on state to pay for that. We have to have our own reserve. 3% reserve is not even enough to make our 15-day of payroll. So we need much, much more than 3%. Board of Education at LSL made a very prudent policy and decision to have our reserve at 10%, which is 3% required by state of California and 7% on our own internal mechanism that we have. That have kept us afloat during bad times. And I'm hoping that we are able to maintain that reserves in the future as well. Categorical programs are self-supporting. We cannot rely on ending fund balances or reserves in categorical programs. We must have reserve in the unrestricted general fund. Luckily, our deficit spending in unrestricted general fund is not that much. If you look at our statement, you see a big, huge deficit spending. But that is actually an accounting mechanism that we are showing use of categorical funding balances in the current year. Unrestricted does not have that much deficit spending, but the significance of reserves cannot be overstated ever. We must have that. Due to budget decline in the future years, that we see that we are not going to get enough HOLA revenue, we are going to rely on that reserve that we have set aside.
Thank you for that explanation. That makes a lot of sense. And one more question. I know our neighboring school district did offer a retirement incentive this year. Did our district ever consider retirement incentives for those upper echelon employees? Did you guys consider that at all?
We have made some calculations and we have some analysis, which is not conclusive yet. That is just like every other things. We are going through the process of analyzing if that is feasible and that benefits the district, or at least that should have net zero effect. That should not cost additional money to the district. So once we analyze that and finalize that, we're going to bring that information to Board of Education. Mr. Koenig has been actually very much on the front foot of saying that we should analyze that, and we are doing that.
Thank you so much. No more questions.
Mr. Jimenez, any questions or comments? Mrs. Ilves?
Thank you, and thank you for letting me skip. I was just trying to get my thoughts together because when it comes to the budget, it's such a difficult subject. We're going to be in negotiations with the classified staff and the teachers pretty soon. And so we're going to have to be very, very transparent, I think, because budgets are very difficult to understand. We have a lot of funding sources, federal, grants, categorical, as you were stating. And sometimes we, and I say we because it takes many years to understand how a school budget runs and where the money goes and where it comes from. But the main thing I believe is we have to be transparent. We don't want our employees who are an important asset to feel that they're not going to be treated fair. I mean, life is getting expensive for everybody, you know, and just like Ms. Inui said, I mean, for classified, sometimes that could be a little bit more difficult. So we have to keep that in mind and just keep that communication open and keep, you know, having meetings like this where we can talk about the budget. We don't want anyone to ever accuse the district that we're hiding money. You know, we want to make sure if we open a position, it's on the agenda, we vote for it, that we fill that position if we have the money for it, or if we're getting money for it. A good question is, where is it going if they'd never hired the person for that position? And so once we have, I think, more serious money problems, we're going to have to start acting like it district-wide. We can't just say no to the bargaining units, yet we're spending money sending people to conferences all over the, you know, the United States. We're going to have to act, you know, and live within our means, even as a school district, like even what we do with our family. If we're having budget problems at home, we're not going to go buy I always say Cadillac, or, you know, a really expensive car. Today, maybe that's a Honda. But so we're going to have to act like we're having those issues and how we handle everything, I think, and being transparent with our employees to know that we do care about them. We do care about our classified, about our teachers, about our management, about everybody. We care. This board really cares. So I think we're going to also, I believe, at least I am, I could speak for myself, be very involved in what's happening with the negotiations and making sure that everything is fair to the employees and also to the district, because if it wasn't for the district, we wouldn't have the jobs, you know, in the first place. So we need each other. We all need each other. We're going to have tough times. So let's make sure that what we ask and what we can come to is what's reasonable so that the students are the ones that at the end aren't the ones that have to be you know, the short end of the stick. So that's what I ask, for us to be transparent, to have more conversations about the budget, maybe use easier terminology, at least for me, because I went to also to a master's in governance class one time, and they say even for a board member, sometimes it takes up to 6 years to completely understand how the budget runs. It's difficult. So we might be an employee who says, wait a minute, but they're doing this, they're doing that. Well, there's different pockets of money that are spent for different things. But I think that if our employees know that, then it's easier to understand. But we're going and we're looking to be fair, you know, but we need that on all ends. And if we're gonna have to be in a budget crisis, we have to act like that in all aspects, not just in one aspect. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we're moving to presentation B, Educational Services Division presentation. Ms. Monica Anso.
Good afternoon, Board President Mercado, Superintendent Koenig, Board of Trustees, and community members. So, I'm Monica Anzo. I'm here to present our program for our summer for 2024. And so we're going to have 4 programs this summer. ELOP and ACES, led by Mr. Jose Fausto. The ELD Academy, led by Ms. Maria Alvarez. Extended School Year, led by Mr. Alberto Jaramillo, and then Migrant Ed Summer Academy, led by Ms. Alicia Fletcher. Our first program, our ELOP program, the purpose of that program is to accelerate learning, provide hands-on, and promote physical and social emotional well-being. Students that are going to be invited to attend are all our students in TK through 5th grade. The dates are June 10th through July 5th. This is a Monday through Friday program, except we'll have 2 holidays during our session. So June 19th and July 4th will be holidays. Student hours are from 8 to 5, and we will be hosting this program at VRB, Loya, Montebella, and Chavez. Each hosting school will host 2 other schools. So at VRB, we'll have Steinbeck and Creekside. At Chavez, we'll also have Sanchez and Martin Luther King Jr. At Loya, we will also be hosting Alisal Community and Frank Paul, and at Montebella, Fremont, and Barden. So this is our long program. It's 9 hours, and what does that look like? So a lot of activities for our students. We have our theme for this year is Happy Campers. So everything that we do, all the multidisciplinary programs have that theme integrated into their sessions. So in academics, enrichment through literature and science and math. We have an enrichment piece which will address visual and performing arts. STEAM will have some sewing, some physical activity going on outdoor, so outdoor movement, social emotional lessons, and then we also are going to provide 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and supper. These are the partners we'll be working with during the summer program. Hartnell College Foundation doing our robotics. Edmo, which will be helping us with some of the staffing and organization. Forza provides a lot of the dance, the beats. They also provide the sewing. Then we have the school community, the science workshop, and then Sweat 3, which will provide the physical movement. Our second program is the Multilingual Designated ELD Language Development Academy, and these are for students that have been identified as candidates for reclassification. That means that they have a 4 on their LPAC, but they still have not met criteria number 2, which is a local criteria in reading. This program will be June 10th through June 28th. It'll be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the focus will be on the criteria to getting our students stronger in reading, so that they can reclassify. And then we will have 4 classes at Chavez and VRB. Sorry about that. Then we have our extended school year program, or ESY, for our special education students. So the purpose of this program are it's for our IEP goals and to recover and acceleration. So we just try to maintain what students have been learning during the school year. This is by invitation. The dates for this program will be June 6th through June 28th. Student hours are 8:15 to 12:45, and we will have 3 locations. We'll be hosting at 3 schools. Barden will have our preschool SDC. Loya will host our K2, and then Montebello our 3-6. And that's to provide more mainstreaming during recess and lunch for our students. Our Migrant Ed Summer Academy, the purpose for this one is is academic intervention, science, and binational cross-cultural programs. So this is where our binational teachers from Mexico come in and support the program. We'll invite TK through 6th grade migrant students. Our dates for this program are June 6th through July 2nd, 18 days. Our students' hours are 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and we will be hosting this at Frank Paul. And then our last thing is actually a partnership that we have with CSUMB. It's our bilingual summer field experience partnership. So within some of our programs, we will be integrating and hosting Spanish classes so that our teachers can be certificated. So we will host this program June 10th through July 5th. We will, for the ELOP, and we'll also integrate this field work into our migrant program, June 6th through July 2nd. So for the ELOP, we'll follow their hours, or they will be doing 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then move into the ELOP in the afternoon. And then with migrant, they'll stay in the classroom from 8 to 3. And so they have to observe 20 hours of field work. They have to teach 2 lessons, and they will be located at VRB and Frank Paul. And we'll have 4 mentor teachers. Any questions? And I have the team here in case I can't answer any questions. They are willing to back me up.
Thank you. I'll start from my right. Mr. Jimenez, any questions or comments? Mrs. Garcia?
Thank you for that presentation. It's always nice to see all those programs that you're offering in the summer. Yeah, and the sewing is really interesting. An interesting, I guess, activity to offer. But I mean, I don't really have, I think this is wonderful. I think just a question about the last one, the bilingual summer field experience partnership. How many teachers are we looking at too? And are they getting paid to come, or how does that work?
I am going to ask Ms. Alvarez to
Sure.
come up and answer that question.
So our AUSD employees would have to register through CSUMB, and they would not get paid. It's like they're taking a class. What we're doing is we're providing a mentor teacher during the school day for them to be mentored, and then also the mentor teacher would be the one getting the extra pay because there is some type of requirement that they have to fill out paperwork through CSUMB to certify that the teacher completed the hours. And so, yeah, it's a great partnership. Last year, we had about almost 8 teachers that went through the program, and by popular demand, we're able to provide that service this year for our AUSD bilingual authorization certificate, so that way that they can stay in their classroom if they don't have their certificate.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate that.
Mr. Ocampo?
Just a comment. So yeah, it sounds like the English Language Development Academy. Now, I think you said that was to help our students pass the LPAC. I think you indicated, or students that were close to passing the LPAC.
So the students that will be invited to participate have already shown that they scored a 4 in the LPAC. So we'll start getting results soon, And so and there's any candidate that has a 4, but still hasn't met the local criteria, which is a reading criteria, and they haven't reached that level, especially our 6th graders, we will invite them for the 3 weeks, and they will be working on the reading skills. And our staff will be assisting them to hopefully get them reclassified at the end of the 3 weeks.
Yeah, I just wanted to state that, I'm glad to see this is just another effort that we're doing to help our students with the LPACs. I'm glad to see that we're doing it, that we continue to focus on the LPAC and that we continue to focus on helping students. So I'm just glad to see that that's taking place. Now, the Migranet Summer Academy, is that the one where teachers come from Mexico to do art projects with our students and kind of share their culture from Mexico? That happens at the
That is a component of it, and I can have Ms. Fletcher explain a little bit more.
No, not so much that I wanted an explanation. I just wanted to say that I'm always very happy when we can include, teachers from Mexico with our students, because I think that kind of exposure, to people from Mexico and the culture, I think is very, very beneficial. So basically, I just want to say that I'm happy to see that that's taking place in your Migranet Summer program, and also that we continue to look at ways to help our students pass the LPAC. Those are really the only comments. Thank you anyway. Thank you.
Mrs. Gilpes?
Yes, thank you. Good, very good information. I had a few questions on the Forza.
Forza, yes.
Forza, is the X a S sound, Forza? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So there's going to be 36 instructors. They're full-time, 8 hours daily. And that's based on the projection that you'll have enough students for these 36 instructors?
Yes, so we were projecting an enrollment of 2,000 for the summer. So we've actually been probably about 16 to 1,800 students the past 3 summers that we've had this program, because it's an all-day program and the students do attend. So that's a projection, is we're trying to increase it to 2,000.
Right. And I was a little bit confused. So the services that they're going to provide, is that just for TK through 2nd grade, all of what Forza is going to do?
TK through 5th grade. So it's for this bigger.
Okay.
The bigger program.
Well, on the contract, on the backup information, yeah, I guess that was my confusion.
Okay.
It does say TK through 2nd grade. And I
Okay,
thought,
no, it's
well, I don't think, so it should be through 6, maybe that's a typo?
yes. I have Mr. Costo.
Good evening. Just to clarify, the way that Forza is going to be providing the services during the summer is for the little ones, we're going to continue doing art sessions with them, but for the upper grades, it's going to be the SUE.
Okay.
That's how it was divided. So in that way, we need more people because then the little kids also will need more support, also for the sewing machines.
Well, I saw that. I thought, how could, little 2nd graders or kinders want to sew? But then I saw the real small little sewing machines, and there they are. On the picture. So I thought, okay, that's something that I guess I think it's really awesome what they do provide. So in the event that you don't reach that enrollment of 2,000 or 1,500, let's keep our fingers crossed, because we usually do for summer school. But in the event, because this is not a cheap program, it's $370,000, right? That the district is paying for that. And is that from the extended learning grant? Oh, okay. All right, good. So it's a good program. That kind of answers my question. That's the only thing I had there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Anza.
Actually, I have a question, Mr. Pozo, or follow-up questions. I think Ms. Gilpes and I are thinking more or less along the same lines. A follow-up, if in case there's less than 1,500 students coming into our program, will the district be refunded because they're not going to be using the entirety of that contract? Like in terms of personnel? Are you going to have like staff members without any kids? I'm just thinking, because I know in the winter, that was the case for some sites. So I'm trying to just think if, will the district be able to recuperate some of that money because there was no students?
under the ELOP program, right? And I will consult with Ms. Sanso when we get there, right? But under the ELOP, one of the requirements is that we offer access. And we have the plan to provide actually for 7,100 students support. So we base it on past practices, right? And the numbers, that's what we're projecting for that. If in the event we get the 7,100, that's why we get the funding to cover the 100% by now. Our job, that's why we also are strategic, but moving in 4 sites across the district. So in that way, the students can reach over there. Every site can reach up to 700 students as well, based on the plan, right? And that will give us probably up to close to 30% of the 7,100 students. So we can have the option to maintain the summer camp option open at the 4 sites with the support that we have in place for those students, because one of the main things that is this is not required, right, for the families to stay the entire day, right? Or it's not required to be every single day. That's the other part. What is required is that the district maintains these programs open until 5, no less than 9 hours, right? However, we're prepared also in consulting with Ms. Anso. If we had to downsize it, we can do that, right? And the consultants had already worked with us and they're flexible also. And that's a good thing because we're trying to also stay local. The majority also are, most of the personnel is local.
Great. And the 2,000 projection, that's been the common for the past few years? Yes, okay, that's where we're getting that number from?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Also for the current numbers that we have also for the after school, it's also, you know, a good projection too.
Thank you.
And we're starting with advertising, making sure that there's a video, we'll be promoting the summer program as well. On the radio?
Yeah, early advertising.
And then during our spring program, I'll make sure that Mr. Fausto and his team have a save the date for our families so that those attending also know there's be an opportunity in the summer.
Great. Mrs. Gilbert?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, President Mercado. I wanted to ask one more question. The 36 employees, full-time employees that are going to be hired, where are they coming from? Are they certificated people? Could they be classified people? Can those jobs maybe be offered in-house to some of our classified or certified people that would like to work, that don't work in the summer? Could it be a priority, or how does that work, please?
Definitely, I can work with the contractor to ensure that we also have these openings to our own people that are available. And these are for classified personnel. The minimum requirements that they have is obviously the GED or high school diploma and 48 units of college or 2 years of college, right? If they don't have that, as long as they have the GED or high school diploma, they can assess, take a proficiency exam, right, to waive that. And each one of them, you know, can take care of that. So there are going to be opportunities because that's a top priority for us too.
Thank you. So how do we go about that, Mr. Koenig? Do you or Mr. Duran maybe talk to the classified president, Ms. Keiko, or how do you let the classified staff know that that's an opportunity for them? Because we could talk about it here, but they're not here. Most of them are gone already. But how can we do that? Because I think that would be great because, you know, the times are rough right now. And
Yeah,
we could help.
we'll make sure that our Human Resources Department contacts the contractors and make sure that they advertise through the Alice Al Union
Awesome.
School District.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Garcia.
Sorry. So just to be clear, it wasn't, so the 36 adults that are getting hired, or they're not from our district? So I know that Edmo hires their own people, and doesn't doesn't Alicel hire their own paras or people for the summer program as well, and Edmo's supplemental to the program? So the 36 student positions that are open, those are, I'm not sure. Can you just explain a little bit more?
Because if it's a summer program,
Right.
they have these opportunities as well. They can open up to the public because they're gonna need the manpower, right? They're trained to provide services to that modality, the specific service, right? So we highly encourage our own people also to apply, and I will work with them closely to offer them, provide the hiring flyers to HR also to disseminate. We can work on that. Again, these are opportunities for everybody to apply on every single service that we provide.
So you're asking them to apply through Edmo, or you're asking them to apply through Alicel? Are we hiring our own? Is that my
We
question?
hiring our own, for
Okay.
instance, campus supervisors, we hiring our own.
All right. Thank you.
Secretaries, we hire our own. Part educators, nutrition services, right? So most of the operations is ours,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And then the services will be, from
On
the
top of that.
contractors.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
It appears those are all the questions. Thank you. Next, moving to board member reports. Mrs. Gilpes. Mr. Ocampo.
I guess I have something to report. I'll try to keep it short. Yeah, I'll try not to be long-winded. Maybe I can just focus on major points. Recently, my wife and I, we attended a presentation. See, who put it on? It was put on by the, oh, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong place, thing here. Yeah, it was put on by the Central Coast Leaders Meeting on the rising cost of healthcare and prescription drugs. So basically, it was to talk about the fact, we all know that healthcare is rising and that it continues to rise, and also prescription drugs can continue to rise. So that was basically what the meeting was. We had a lady from CVS Health that came to talk to us. We had someone from, I believe it's called CAPA. CAPA is an agency that tries to pass policies to keep the price of prescription drugs down. But what sort of caught my attention, and I guess it's sort of maybe a suggestion I'd like to make to our administration. What caught my attention was the fact that the Salinas, that 70% of according to a newspaper article I read, 70% of the teachers at the Salinas, the district for the high school district is the Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers, yeah. 70% of their teachers have signed up for, they have MCSIG, and they've signed up for PPO Select from MCSIG, which from what I understand has brought the premiums down for the teachers and also for the district. So it seems to me that if 70% are going to this particular plan, which is PPO Select, that I guess there's something there, right? I don't know, that's a lot of teachers. There are medical plan health insurance is very complicated. I'm not an expert, and it gets very complicated very, very, really quick. But one of the downsides apparently of this particular plan is that the teachers are unable to access local hospitals. They have to go to hospitals outside of Salinas, and that brings the premium down. I believe the rates too. I know that rates and premiums are two different things, again, complicated, but I believe it does bring the price down. Apparently there was a RAND study not so long ago that indicated that our three hospitals, Memorial, Chalmers, and Natividad, are at the highest 10% in terms of price, in the whole state of California. So our hospitals are extremely expensive. compared to other places in California. So obviously, when our people go there, that's going to increase the price of the medical plan. Now, I also had an opportunity to speak to a health specialist from the Monterey County Office of Education, she was comparing both plans, and she was saying that another downside apparently is that our plan, CVT, apparently our plan that deals with families is actually cheaper than the McSig Select. So as I said, it gets very, very complicated. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make and the recommendation I'd like to make is for our staff to maybe start looking around to see if it isn't possible to find a medical health plan that might be less expensive, and maybe we could save some money. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But unless we look around, unless we shake the bushes, unless we kind of look under the rocks, how do we really know? So that's my recommendation to staff that I pretty much wanted to make. And I'm sort of interested in this whole area. So I'm going to be having a meeting in the near future with Ana Aguillon, which is a CBO from the high school district, and also Ariane Zamudio, who's the director of human resources, to talk about their McSig PPO Select plan, to learn more about it. If anybody on the board or anybody would like to join me, please, I'd like to welcome you to come and join me. And again, as I said, I don't really know if it's possible to find a cheaper medical plan. Maybe it's not. But considering that we are heading into hard, economic times, I think it might be worth the look into. For the unions, if you have an interest in looking into it yourselves, you may or may not, I don't know, but apparently the expert with the Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers is Katie Bassler. I think she was instrumental in bringing this plan. McSig also, interestingly enough, also the McSig members can access Kaiser Permanente, which I thought was rather interesting. And hopefully Kaiser will build a facility here, and if they do, hopefully that will create more competition. Hopefully that'll bring the prices down. But I don't know, it's sort of an uncertain universe that we're kind of stepping into. But anyway, I just thought that was of interest. I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Whether it'll pan out or not, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr.
But thank you.
Ocampo.
Thank you.
Mrs. Garcia?
I thought you were going over here to him. You scare me all the time. So thank you, Mr. Ocampo. I actually do have McSig, but I didn't select I have McSig PPO. I'm from Salinas City, and that's what they offer. I did not go with Select because it was inconvenient for me. I did not want to go to another hospital outside the area. I did keep PPO 25, which is a lot more expensive. So I do know quite a bit about the McSig, so I won't join you in that, but Salinas City does have McSig. But another note, in February, I was joined by my colleague over here, Mr. Jimenez. We both went to the CABE conference, and it was very well attended this year. And I'd just like to congratulate Maria Alvarez, because I went to her presentation. She did an awesome job presenting on English learners in our district and how well they're doing. So I did attend her to be supportive, and it was a great turnout for her in that session. So congratulations, Maria. I also had the pleasure of participating in the LCAP. I looked at all the calendar times that I can attend, and I only went to one, but I'm planning on going to tomorrow night, which is Virginia Barden. But I did go to the Barden School, and it was so packed with parents. It was wonderful to see, because this is an opportunity for parents to give their feedback on what they want on the LCAP. The parents were put into groups, and they all got a chance to talk about the different goals and what was working for them at that particular school, but what they really wanted to change or to improve on. So it's a great opportunity for parents to show up and give their opinion, voice their opinion, and be heard, right? And I think the very last one, at least the one I have on my calendar, is tomorrow night at VRB. I think they're hosting the last one. I also participated in the learning walks at Oscar Loya School, and those were really interesting. I've participated in learning walks many, many times, and I was very fortunate. Miss Evie Porter, you kind of hosted us for that event. We had administrators there walking into classrooms. I know it's so intimidating when a group of administrators walks into a classroom. So I really want to thank the teachers at Loya because it is intimidating. And I am a teacher. And so, yes, when, administrators walk in your classroom, you feel very intimidated. But overall, we saw lots and lots of we saw lots and lots of great activities within the students, a lot of talking. We also got to see in real time collaboration. So we, in each of the classes, we noticed that you can tell that the teachers in the grade levels were collaborating because you saw mostly the same things on their walls and just the same language overall. So I do want to shout out to all those teachers at Oscar Loya who, we were able to go see on the learning walk. So thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mercado. In this month of March, women are celebrated internationally, and I want to congratulate all the women who work in our district and all our girls, students who are in the future of the great example of our community. As an example, I want to congratulate 3 young ladies, former of district students of our Pronalisal High School, who represent MESA, Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement Program, by obtaining first place recognition in the science contest, who competed against many high schools in Northern California at UC Santa Cruz this past Saturday. These students were taught and influenced through our science programs and their elementary school classrooms. 2 of them were students at the Oscar F. Loya School. Congratulations. I want to add something else that is personally. A year ago, I shared with my community that I have been diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, and I asked for their prayers and good vibes. Today, I want to share with all my community that I beat the cancer, and I want to extend my deep gratitude to my parents, to my sister, Millie, my children, and each of you who pray and send me good wishes. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Mr. Koenig?
Yes, I just want to announce that at the California School Public Relations Association Annual Conference in Sacramento a few days ago, February 28th through March 1st, the district received an award of merit for its use of social media as a tool to uplift the Alisal Union School District community in the social media tactics category. And Claudia Melendez was at the conference and accepted the award on our behalf. And if you look over there, Claudia is showing off the award. So congratulations to the district, congratulations to Claudia Melendez, and we'll continue to use our social media aggressively and to get the word out. Way to go.
Next, we move to consent agenda. Item 5A, approval of consent agenda. I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Jimenez. Second by Ms. Gilpas. Any comments, questions? Okay. Ms. Gilpas?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of comments. to make on item number 5E, the Conference for California Community Schools. It's Empower. And it says, in reading the information, it's for administrators, counselors, social workers, on the background information for, on that we get when we're looking at this. Yet in their information also, it says support staff can go. And our support staff is our classified. And I think that a lot of times our classified staff don't have an opportunity to go to conferences, but we have classified staff that are, and we know that they're that important too, that maybe some of them can go to this conference because they also need to get familiar with California Community Schools and how it's going to work. They work with parents, they can answer those questions. So in that list, I know, I don't think you have all the names yet of everybody that's going. I'm hoping that we can include, I'm hoping we can include classified all the time when there's room for, for in their positions to be. And I think this is a conference that would be great for them to go. So I'm asking for that there. I know we're ratifying an agreement with Twig Education, another agreement H for STEM Real, different ones doing professional development. I know we do professional development from other agencies. We do all kinds of things. We're all over the map. All the schools do different things. I'm hoping that maybe someday we can condense it to the ones that are really working. Or at some point, I know that President Mercado and I spoke about maybe having a study session to find out what is it that's working. And instead of just getting another program and paying for another one and another one, well, maybe we have some in place that some of our schools are already having success with, that we can condense it so that it's a little bit more, everybody's doing the same thing, consistent. I know it's impossible because they all offer different things, but as much as we can, that way it just gets, there's just so many that we don't even, I mean, I don't even know how many we have. I'd like to know and which ones are being more successful. And then I did have, I wanted to make a comment on item W on the agreement with Weldon Inspections for shade instruction for the shade structure at also community school. And thank you for putting that in there, Mr. Abbasi. I got forwarded an email, a video of a young boy who approached one of our neighboring districts, and I'm not picking on the district, I'm putting emphasis on what he said. And he went up to the podium in his walker. He might have, I don't know what he has that he can't walk. Well, he was advocating for himself and he was asking for shade because at that school where he goes, they have the kids eat, they don't have that shade there. But what was sad, I thought at that, when he was speaking, is he said there was no ramp for him to have access to the playground. And I thought, wow, I'm glad at that moment I'm not on that board, because that was really a moment. And I'm sure maybe they didn't know and they're working on it right away. So I'm hoping we have I could already see Mr. Alonso. Yeah, that's not happening here, right? Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, because it was really heartbreaking. And the elevator wasn't working and that student has to go upstairs. So we don't ever want to be in a position that our students are here advocating for themselves. And I'm sure there's an answer to that and they haven't been able to maybe whatever, there's two sides to it, but the young boy advocated for himself. And I just don't want us to ever be in that position that we are not having our ramps, our shades, our elevators, everything, especially for our special ed students. And it seems like we're to be commended. And I'm not saying we're better than that district. No, and I'm not saying that. I'm focusing on the student, the need of the student. So I'm hoping that their board members aren't watching me right now because they're probably going to get upset, but okay, I could deal with that. That was it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the term earlier point is performance-based budgeting. So when we look at items that are what's working in the district, we can continue to be funding those programs, and those that haven't given the desired results, maybe change or modify or even get rid of. Mhm. Okay, so I do have a motion made by Mr. Jimenez and, oh, sorry, Mrs. Garcia.
Yeah, just a quick, yeah, comment about the safety plans. Thank you. I did review them and they're a lot more robust this year. So thank you for all the site admins that really put a lot of effort into those, safety plans for the schools. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Garcia. A motion made by Mr. Jimenez, seconded by Ms. Gilpas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to business services. A, action item, second interim budget report. I need a motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Garcia. Seconded by Mr. Jimenez. Comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 6B, action item, resolution number 2324-18, budgetary increases and transfers at second interim for fiscal year 2023-24. I need a motion.
So
Make a
moved.
second.
I'm sorry, who was the first? I got,
I can second.
Mr. Ocampo.
yeah. Motion, Mr. Ocampo. Seconded by Mr. Jimenez. Questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 6C, action item, resolution number 2324-19, local reserve cap. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Garcia. Second by Ms. Gilpas. Questions or comments? Okay, ready for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to 7A, Resources. Action item, request for new position for the Educational Services Division, Early Literacy Instructional Coach for Frank Paul Elementary School, full-time position. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Garcia, seconded by Mr. Ocampo. Are there any comments or questions? Okay. Yeah, I do have a comment or a question. This person that will be hiring for this position will know that the funding for this position expires in the 26-27 year. Okay. Okay, and we're obviously hoping that, you know, if the position is working, that this position is sustainable. Okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 7B, action item, salary schedule, occupational therapist, classified management. I need a motion.
Make a motion.
I'll
Second.
second.
Let's try that again.
Okay, I'll make the motion, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Campo. And second by Ms. Garcia. Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, move for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 7C, action item, resolution number 2324-17, release and reassignment of certificated administrators. I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Jimenez,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ocampo. Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 7D, Action item, LSL Union School District Articles for Negotiations with LSL Teachers Associations, ATA. I need a motion.
So move.
Motion made by Mr. Ocampo,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Garcia. Questions or comments? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing, California School Employees Association, Chapter 577, CSEA, initiating bargaining proposal for the 23-24 school year. I open this at 7:05. I close this at 7:06. Moving on to item 7F, public hearing, initial sunshine proposals from the LSL Union School District to the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 577 for the 23-24 school year. I open this at 7:06. And I close this at 7:07. Moving on to 7G, information, job description, the first reading for Secretary 2 and Information Specialist 3. Okay. There is no motion required for this one as it is an informational item. Moving on to 8, Administrative Services, action item, revised board bylaws, 9100, 9110, 9124, 9130, 9121, 9220, 9222, and 9270. I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Jimenez. I need a second. Second by Ms. Gilpaz. Any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 8B, revised board policies, facilities, 7110, 7140, 7150, 7210, 7211, 7212, 7214, and 7310. I need a motion.
So move.
Motion made by Mr. Ocampo,
I'll second.
seconded by Ms. Garcia. Any comments or questions? Mrs. Gilpaz?
Yes, I do. So my question is, so this is revised board policies. So are these board policies our board policies, LSL Union School District board member policies?
Yes, these are the board policies for LSL Union School District.
And who set these policies?
The policies in most cases already exist. And from time to time, it's necessary to update them based on changes in the law. We get every month a number of revised policy recommendations from California School Boards Association. And the district takes a look at those, and then if it makes sense to comply with the law, in most cases, we accept the recommended new policy from California School Boards Association.
So I kind of knew that about the bylaws, but not quite on the policies. So there's so many of them. But one that was a special interest to me, and I can't remember which one it was, but one of the ones listed here is the naming and renaming of schools and/or school facilities. And I know this board, I don't think we've ever had a discussion on that. So some of these things are happening. We're taking their, CSBA looked at it and they said, yes, it's okay, but we haven't talked about it. Because I don't know how Mr. Ocampo feels about changing the name of a school, or Ms. Garcia, or the rest of us. Yet now we have a policy that's gonna be set, and we haven't had a discussion on it. So
There, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
There is an existing policy on naming or renaming of schools.
Yeah, but the revision is listed in here.
Right.
So I'm saying, and we've never had that conversation, and we could set that policy, because at one time in LSL, the policy was that you couldn't change the name of a school. Because, and that's what it says here, then it shows it was revised, or now it's being revised, but somebody's making that decision for us. It seems like someone's making that decision for this board, because I know that's just one example of things that we haven't talked about, you know? So I'm thinking that maybe we should, I don't know what to suggest, but I know that I want us to look at these policies more. We have to, because we're the policy setters. And whatever it says here, they're gonna say, okay, well, that board said that's the policy on whatever it is, facilities, there's different things here, and I know it's difficult and it's a lot of work. However, I don't think we should just be blessing it and saying, yeah, okay, now, you know, CSBA looked at it, and they're just looking at it to see, I guess, the legalities of it.
Well, they're reviewed by all of the cabinet members, but
But the cabinet members are not the policy
that's,
makers.
that's absolutely true.
And
So-
I don't mean that to, you know, they have their respective positions, you know, so I'm not sure. I think that maybe,
If I make a suggestion?
yes,
I mean, one option is to maybe revisit and set maybe a time and day to revisit some of these policies and have those conversations. You know, but it's my understanding is that ultimately it's whatever the board decides, whether it's policy or not, because we could amend any changes.
right. And usually what I do is I see all these and I thought, oh, that's a lot of reading. I'm just gonna, you know, and I say, okay, but then that one caught my interest, because we did have a renaming of one of our schools here, you know, Montebella. It was named Tiburcio Vasquez School before. So does this board, have we made a new policy? You know, well, you can rename it, but I mean, it talks about ad hoc committees and so forth. And I'm sure there's a lot of them, but CSBA doesn't set our policies, we do, but, and I'm guilty. I don't even know what they say, and yet I'm part of the policymakers. So we have to set up a system, I think, and where we can discuss that. What are they gonna, I don't know how, or maybe you can send us what board policies are gonna be revised so we can see them beforehand, because a week before a meeting, when we get the agenda, is not enough time, because, and I know we have to do this legally, you know, so I'm not ready to, I'm ready to vote on all of these except the one that says the renaming of the school, because that's a big one. I think we have to have that discussion with how we feel about that.
Okay.
I don't know how the board feels, though. I mean,
Well, the board has done this in different ways. At one time, the board had a study session on a Saturday morning and just went over page after page of board policies. I'm not recommending that, but we could circulate all the policies to the board to get your comments as we're going through the staffing process on policy revisions.
I believe so. Otherwise, they're just going to be listed and we're just going to vote on them. And I mean, I don't know what's in there. And I'm not ready to agree with what it says about the naming of the school. I think all of us have to, you know, talk about that and share our thoughts on, the board can even say, once you name a school after a person, you can't rename it. You can do that. I'm not saying that's an option I would want, but I believe it's an important discussion we need to have. So I would like to make, let me see. I would like to make a new motion with the second, it's just called the substitute motion, that we accept all of the revised board policies except the one naming, the naming of the naming of the school. So
Do you-
that's my substitute motion.
Do you know which number it was? Ms.
Yes, it's
7214?
7310, naming of facility,
So- oh,
board
7310.
policy 7310.
Yeah, with the exception of 7310.
Let me ask for the second and the first. Will you be okay with amending that motion, Ms. Garcia?
Yeah, I have no problem. Is there like a deadline for revision? Is there deadlines to
There's,
revisions?
there's no deadline.
okay.
Uh,
So we're not in behind any kind of deadline.
No,
so
we're-
We could definitely take time to look
We
at them.
can get this, we can bring this back to the board next month or in 6 months. But we do have, at some point, we need to name the new early childhood center at the corner of Buckhorn, right behind Loya Elementary School. So that's going to be able to be named about October, so we've got plenty of time. We can circulate this among the board members and bring it back in 4 to 6 weeks.
And the reason is that it's a lot easier when you have it in the policy and you can answer the community. Well, this is the policy, this is what it is, and it save us a lot of anguish, I think. And,
Yep.
and especially
Okay.
on that one, because we're sensitive about that one. Thank you.
Mr. Ocampo, you're willing to amend the motion?
I'm sorry?
Are you willing to amend the motion?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, so I do have a motion by Mr. Ocampo and Mrs. Garcia to amend the motion to revisit policy number 7310. Is that correct? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, and move for the vote. All in favor? 5-0. I'm sorry. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Say aye.
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 All opposed? 5-0. Okay, you can look at item 9, the future agenda items. You can look at your convenience. And also item 10, future meeting dates. You can look at those at your convenience. Moving on to number 11, public comments. Closed session agenda items only. Guidelines, there will be a 2-minute limit for individuals and a 20-minute limit on total public comments. There is no ceding of one's time to other individuals. A, individuals wishing to address the Board of Trustees on closed session agenda items may do so at this time. Starting time is 7:18. Ending time, 7:18. I now adjourn to closed session at 7:19. There will be a 10-minute break. The closed session will begin promptly at 7:29.